so campy. I'm not that I'm against like happy moments. We've had happy moments in the show. It's just there was something off about it.
All right, I'm gonna
from day one. I knew the show. Something was different about this season.
Yeah. Did you ever watch Full Metal Alchemist? Either regular or the Brotherhood?
Yeah, I saw.
Okay, well, Full Metal Alchemist was following the manga, and then at some point, the manga got behind and the show got ahead.
Right.
So then the writers took the show and they wrote their own show. And they wrote their own ending.
Right.
It was terrible. And then later on, when they finished the manga, they redid everything using the original source material, and then they took a right turn and they followed the book, the manga. And it did such a great job.
Oh, okay. So,
unfortunately, no matter how many people petition, there's not going to be another season 8.
Right.
But unfortunately, they kind of did the Brotherhood thing. They went and they did their own story.
Yeah. And it just felt like such a different...
It felt like they did their own story. This wasn't the George R.R. Martin story.
Like you were talking about earlier, now in season 8, characters were 2-dimensional. Instead of 3-dimensional, you know?
Yeah.
They were just bad guys and good guys, which is like a 5-year-old's take on the world. You
Yeah.
know? Like,
right.
And it just felt like years of development for each of these characters were thrown out the window. You know, like the whole Daenerys thing.
Yeah.
You just didn't feel it. You didn't feel the switch. Because I think, I'm like, I would be okay with her switching and going insane, but certain things would have to have happened for her to go insane that quickly. For me, I would have had to follow her through. Like, if, like, we were talking about, like, different theories. I was like, what I would have had is, like, maybe Cersei, and that's the other part. Cersei was, through the whole time, a mastermind, tough as nails, and all of a sudden, for the whole season, she's, like, whimpering in the castle, drinking her wine.
One of the memes was... They congratulated Cersei for being able to make $500,000 an episode, drinking wine and staring out a window.
Exactly. That's all she did. And Cersei was a mastermind, was tough as nail, never give up until the last minute, and all she did was whimper. Okay, so here's my take on it. They could have had something where it showed all that within the characters where, like, Cersei kind of plans ahead, takes over Winterfell, so Jon has to bend the knee to her. And that could have been the snap, you know, like seeing it, like Jon Snow bend the knee to Cersei and say, like, well, I can't go with you, and then maybe she would have snapped and, like, gone, you know, berserk because she's being betrayed or something. I don't know, something. Something you did not follow her downward spiral. Well, and it didn't just make sense that through the whole 8 years, she was a liberator of people. She was merciful. In the times that she wasn't merciful, it was like she didn't really have a choice,
right?
Or it was just kind of like
on the between the two options, she would pick the best one because she was good in heart.
Right, exactly. Or was it just the option she was given, right?
Yeah.
So none of it makes sense there. With the Cersei thing, Cersei. It was like she didn't do anything, you know. She was like, "Oh well."
Not only she not do anything, but Euron Greyjoy played her. Like Euron Greyjoy was essentially telling her how to do things, and he tells her, "I'm going to do this to you. I'm going to give you a baby. It's going to be the next king."
Right. It's just none of it made really that much sense.
At any point, if she didn't like it, she could have just crushed his head with the mountain.
Yeah, a lot of it didn't make sense in the season to me. And it's not about, like, the outcome. It's about the process of it for me.
Yeah.
It's like, I need to follow the process. I don't care what the outcome. The outcome could have been exactly the same as it ended up being, but you have to show me the process of it. If not, I don't follow. And that's what I was saying I like about the show is that it had a process, and it made sense to where nobody had plot armor that heavy. The show became laden with everybody had plot armor. Like, how many times did you guys see Arya, a building fall on her? I'm like, how many times is a building going to fall on Arya and she gets back up? And, like, how many times is Jon going to be pinned against the wall and he gets out?
Right.
That did not follow the show before, you know? Jon got killed and he was revived. That's a whole different, like, he didn't just dodge a million swords, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there was like a rhyme and reason to it, even if it involves magic or whatever it may be. To me, it had like, I can follow this along. With this season, it was just none of it made sense to what we were previously shown. So it kind of threw everything out the window, every character development.
Well, you know, talking about what you're saying, Game of Thrones was about the main characters. There's a world larger than even them.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
As the seasons progressed, the world got smaller and smaller to where it was essentially a sitcom. And it was just, you had all the main characters, and then you have some side characters that would come in once in a while.
And I had to do like comic relief. Yeah, you're right. Exactly that. I love the way you put it. Like, Game of Thrones through a whole thing was a world, and people were in it. And you were in it, and sometimes you were taken out of it.
Yeah.
Then it became about these characters. And then that actually was the opposite effect. It made these characters lose all value because they were these incredible things were happening to them, or they were just too lucky. Like, come on, Euron Greyjoy, he swims from the ocean to find the Kingslayer by himself. That just that one, for example. The second one is. And this is just like we're getting nitpicky, whatever, but it still makes sense. It like. In the one episode where the dragon gets killed, you know, like where the scorpions shoot it, like they shoot like they were automatic rifles. These things were like
okay,
and
I've got a pet peeve about this.
Well, I'm giving my pet peeve about
Rico,
it.
you tell me your pet peeve, and I'm going to put mine on hold, and then we're going to come back to mine.
Oh, okay, thank you. What I was saying is they shoot like. I'm sorry. They shoot like automatic. I'm ranting.
Automatic scorpions.
They're automatic scorpions. They reloaded and shot again, like at a mile, like 10 seconds per shot.
Yes.
And then in the next episode, they couldn't get one shot off. They reloaded like for half the episode.
Yep. That's right.
None of it made sense.
It did not. And going on what you're saying, here's my issue with that. So you got these dragons that are in the sky and they're flying, and they never tell you the intelligence level of these dragons, but you got to imagine they're higher than, say, your common chicken. So they're flying up in the air, and they don't even notice the ships. All right, so they're up in the air. They're looking down, looking around. They don't notice the ships, but yet
they get
around
a clear
the corner,
shot.
they know the dragons are there, and they shoot with precision right into the heart of a dragon, which is damn near impossible. It's not like they've had training.
Right,
they didn't have dragon shooting training, and then all of a sudden, boom! Here it is.
You can't even shoot you can't even shoot a cannon that precisely.
I know. Yeah.
But anyway, you're 100%, and I'm with you on that. And the other piece is the dragons, like you said, the intelligence. I'm right. You brought that up during when he burns the throne down. Then if he's smart enough to know what that throne meant. He knows what a ship is.
Right. Oh, man, I love the meme where it's like the dragon comes in, looks at Daenerys dead, and looks at the sword that's in her chest. And it's like, something pointy killed her. Look, that chair is pointy. And he burns the chair.
Look what the chair did to your mom. That's what I think.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then,
so those are like technical little things that
I don't think it's so little because it
takes you out of it.
The dragons are an important part of this season. And the fact that dragon died, and that makes her super upset, and that she goes back and that's kind of her revenge when she destroys the whole fleet. And then takes out every scorpion that's on the wall.
That should be enough, right? That makes sense. That's it. And the other piece with that I was like had a real big what? It was Grey Worm's negotiation for the prisoner.
Yeah,
like none of it made sense.
You call him a prisoner because to me he didn't seem like a prisoner.
At first he tells him you can't talk, and then he lets him talk through the whole
dictate
the whole thing. Choose who's gonna help choose who's gonna be the king, so that he can be pardoned. And they're gonna be like, oh, we're leaving. And the other part is someone brought it up in the chat. Hold on, it was like these guys are killing and massacring everybody, right?
Right.
They're cutting people's throats. Like they didn't care. Jon Snow kills their queen, and they took him prisoner. Okay, they were like, oh, we should give him a chance. Like we should give him a chance to explain.
Just the fact that they took over all of Westeros, and that was their whole goal the whole time. And their queen died, but they just like, well, all right, we're just gonna leave now.
We're going to North.
This is what we were promised. We traveled. What are the Dothraki?
The Dothraki
that didn't even want to go across the water, and now they did, and then they're just like, all right, we're gonna go on boat, so we're gonna leave again.
Yeah, and the whole Dothraki thing too was like, takeaways that I did like. I liked the battle with the Battle of Winterfell. I liked most of it. It was very dark. The scene. I did like the scene where like the Dothraki, the swords go out and everything like that, but honestly, like it felt also forced. It's like this force goes up, gets completely destroyed, and you just threw away years of character development, years of building this force. I got tactical. It's like
mixed feelings about that, because it's like you send the Dothraki out into that wilderness, and you don't really see anything. You're just hearing all the clanking of metal, and they're dead. And now the White Walkers are running in. So it does give us this ominous feel to it, right?
Yeah, it was a good scene, but the logic of it, right?
But then you have all your main characters that are part of this battle, and they are killing White Walkers left and right with no problem.
Right, that's the plot armor I was talking about.
Right.
Like that took me away from it too. I like the premise of the whole winter battle, but like
Winterfell,
that was part of my gripe on like when we were talking about it too. That it was the plot armor was so thick that it would stood walls of zombies.
Yeah.
How many times did you see Brienne pitted against the wall or Jamie?
I said she was dead twice.
I was like, oh, Grey Worm's gone,
and he's
back. And Grey Worm's been gone.
Yeah,
and there he is again. And like it was there. That is, like you said, that's not a world, and they're in it. They are the world.
Yeah.
The world's bending its laws.
It's bending the knee to them.
Bending the knee to their character and their plot armor.
Yeah, I felt like I no longer had to worry about the main characters because they'll be fine.
Yeah, and also like if they died at that point, they did such a bad job for me that if they died at that point, I was like, this is not the character I know anyway. Well, like when Danny died, I was like, I don't give a shit.
Well, because I think at that point you want to have a main character die because that's what you've been given this whole time, and there's an expectation.
I didn't care. I was like, when Danny died, I was like, whatever. This is stupid. I was already clocked out. I was with the whole situation. I was like, kill her. I don't care because I was like, this is not the Danny that we knew through 8 years, And I know that sounds very like personal. This is not the.
You know what? You're right, because all of these shows that we watch, all these movies we watch, we get emotionally invested in them.
Right.
That's why we keep watching them. That's why we wait till Sunday. At 9 o'clock.
And she was not my favorite character, but I wanted better for her.
Yeah.
I just wanted a better ending for her.
Touches the Iron Throne.
I don't care if
and
she died.
Sit down.
I don't care if she died. I wanted a better. Same thing with Cersei. I don't love Cersei. I didn't like her, but I wanted her to go in a different way. That was like the lamest Romeo and Juliet ending that they gave them. Like just bury them together in the thing.
Everyone's coming up with who is going to be the one that kills Cersei. And you had Arya coming after. You had Jaime as a possibility to backstab her. You had all these different people, the Hound. And you're like, who's going to be the one to do it? And I bet you nobody thought Brick. And you're going, Brick? What do you mean? The fucking castle dropped on her head.
I was like, what are you talking about?
Who knew the brick was...
Brick?
A brick dropped on her head, and that's how she dies.
Yeah.
That was lame.
Yeah. I mean, this season, Theon was the only one I was like, good job, Theon. Like, you died in a good way, honorably in a good way. They give him a good ending, but everybody else. I mean, even Arya. I ended up not liking Arya anymore. She wasn't Arya that I liked. She was like this overpowered, cocky emo, and it was just like, what? Like, no, that's not. It doesn't make sense. Doesn't. It's gonna be my. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's gonna be the main theme of this half of the episode. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and again, I know I've had this discussion with several people now, and they're like, "You just don't like the way it ended." Blah blah. It's not about the way it ended. It's about the way it led to that ending, how things played out, knowing the characters. Even Jon Snow, I felt it was very, very out of character for him to not explore any other options than to kill her at that point. It was just, Jon did not lie. He didn't compromise. He was like your Captain America.
In order
if you're a nerd, you know what
somebody,
I mean. Like Captain America would not, you don't compromise in the face of evil. Like that was his. He's like a knight, like like in D&D, a paladin. Yeah, he's not gonna do it, and
because Tyrion tells him to?
I'm not saying he wouldn't do it if it wasn't pressed against the options of it, but I think he would have done I actually would have liked a better and like where he somehow